completing the square. What we're going to do is we're going to take standard form and we are going to convert it to vertex form by completing a square. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is going to be the order for completing the square. Okay, so remember we're converting, and remember that standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, and that's usually equal to y, f of x, whatever. I'm just going to let it equal 0 for this example. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about steps. This is step 1. This is plain standard form. Down here at the bottom of my paper, I'm going to have vertex form. So the way that we're going to do that is step 2 is actually like a side step. So I'm going to draw step 2 in a cloud because it's kind of like a part of the process, but it's not going to be something that is going to be shown in the actual equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this b value right here and we're going to slash it in half. We're going to cut it in half. So if that was a 6, we're going to cut it in half, it would be a 3. If that was a 28, we would cut it in half and it'd be a 14. If that was a negative 100, we'd cut it in half and be a negative 50. After we do that, we are going to square it because after all, we're completing this square. So once we do that, we get a special value there. And that value doesn't really have a name in math. So we're just going to have a symbol for it. We'll have like a clover type symbol. I'll just call it something like this. So the best that you can, kind of draw a clover. It's also known as a club if you are familiar with a deck of cards. So we'll just call it that value for right now. So once we get this value, then it comes back to our work. So our step 3 is going, or our step 2 actually is going to be, we're going to take this c value and we're going to get rid of it. So the c value is actually going to get moved to the other side. And remember, anything that goes to the other side of the equal sign, remember that's opposite. So notice I have some blanks here. That weird value we got where we drew that weird symbol, that actually goes here. So again, the best that you can, draw a club, because that's the kind of symbol we're going to use for this. And guys, remember, it's an equation. So if I put that value here, I got to go put it on the other side at the same time. Same exact value. Plus the club, same exact value. All right. So step 1, step 2, step 3. Our next step is we're actually going to go back to this value and we're going to write actually this in factored form. So what happens here is I'm going to draw some parentheses. And this value right here, there's 2 x's. What I'm going to do is I'm going to still remind myself that there's 2 x's. It's just going to go on the outside. So this is where parts of the vertex form start showing up. This is actually going to be x plus this b divided by 2. So that actually starts showing up there. The next thing that is going to start happening for us is we're actually going to combine this value over here, and that value over there is actually kind of like a k value, but for right now, I'll just go ahead and keep it as the old c value plus that club symbol. So I've taken the way this is written and I factored it down to this. That's going to be x minus h. In a minute, we're going to have everything done. The last thing that we need to do is we are going to combine these values. These are going to be actual real numbers. We're going to combine those values and move it back over to this left side because that's the k. So this is the k in hiding right now because it's on the wrong side. Once we move the k over to the left side with all of this, boom, we're going to be in vertex form. So when this comes back over, our final last step is going to be, I'll just go ahead and use f of x. Remember, sometimes we use y equals, sometimes it's a 0. It's all the same thing when you're writing in vertex form. All right, so we'll have an a value out here. Remember this right here? That's really x minus h. That's our vertex form. So I'm going to recopy this in the form that we're used to seeing. Don't forget your 2. And then whatever this value is, it needs to move over to the other side and change signs because that's the k value. So that is the order for completing the square. That's just kind of a symbolic picture. Now we're about to do the real thing.